Good evening. Here we go again. Albuquerque getting another round of snow this evening, and it is once again causing big problems on the interstates.
This after a messy start to the day with more than 100 crashes around the city and school closures. At one point, on-ramps and exit along I-40 were closed because it was just too dangerous. We'll have more on that in a moment. But first, what you can expect now. We have team coverage of this winter storm from Albuquerque up north to Santa Fe and Durango. We start with roads freezing up across the metro right now. Police just sent out a warning saying the new flyover connecting northbound I-25 to Paseo westbound is solid ice. Police say if you are on I-25 heading north starting at Comanche, slow it down. It is dicey. Along I-40 through the city, it has been snowing heavily on and off during the past hour. This morning, it was the biggest problem for drivers and looked like a demolition derby. News 13's Emily Younger is live near I-40 in Coors to give you a look. Emily?
Yeah, Jessica, the snow is really picking up here and it's accumulating fast. This is what I'm talking about. This area was relatively clear about an hour ago. Now it's covered. It's an ice-scraping, snow-packed day in Albuquerque, as state and city crews have been working around the clock to clear the latest wintry mix and avoid a repeat of what we saw this morning, when treacherous conditions led to some slow driving and bumper-to-bumper traffic.
The visibility wasn't very good, couldn't see very far. It felt like I was driving in North Dakota.
This is what I-40 in Coors looked like during this morning's commute. Cars backed up for miles.
It was terrible. I've been in traffic for 2 hours.
While people like Cindy Quintana inched their way through town, others went sliding off the road, like this car that ended up wrapped around a pole on Central near Louisiana. Then there's this one. A truck slammed into a barrier on I-40. This car's entire front end was smashed.
Just from our house to here, it was bumpy and a little bit icy and slushy.
APD says it's responded to more than 120 crashes since this morning, more than 20 of them involving injuries. One of Albuquerque's towing companies has already had to haul 140 vehicles out of trouble. All of that has people wishing for spring.
I prefer to stay at home and bake cookies.
Just go home and stay in. I hope I have enough food in the fridge.
And this snow is not letting up at all. You can expect road crews and snow plows in the metro all evening. Jessica, Dean, back to you.
All right, Emily, thank you. And in Santa Fe, the snow is coming down harder and harder. That's where News 13's Gabrielle Burkhart continues our team coverage. She is live near I-25 and Cerrillos. Gabby?
Dean, the temperatures here are well below freezing. The snow's been coming down here for the past couple hours. You can see it's pretty steady, and the people we talked to say they welcome the winter weather.
I love it. I'm ready to go skiing tomorrow.
I think it's great. We need it. You can't complain about the moisture.
Roads in Santa Fe this morning really weren't bad. School started as usual, but you can see it really started to fall here. Crews have been loading with salt and cinder, prepping to attack the snowpack and ice on the roads. We're told there are some icy spots north of here toward Glorieta and Las Vegas. And in this area, temps are dropping and the roads will just keep getting trickier.
It's best to slow down and, be aware of our trucks. Of course, if they're out there, keep in mind that ice isn't going to melt right away, so just, proceed with extreme caution.
DOT road crews are on overtime working 12-hour shifts. They've got about 126 snowplow trucks covering 6 counties in northern New Mexico through the weekend. Back to you.
All right, Gabby, thank you very much. Now, farther north, the snow totals could reach up to 2 feet in some areas.
Chief Meteorologist Mark Ronchetti is live in Durango, where they're about to get buried in snow. Mark?
Well, Jessica, Dean, what we're looking at right now is here at Purgatory. We've had about 7 or 8 hours of snow. They got 4 inches overnight. We're expecting 2+ feet. Really, 2 feet is the floor of where things start here. We expect it to go up from there throughout the weekend and into next week. But let's start in the metro area and show you what's going on at Coors and Paseo, where it is a little rough on the roads. There's no question about that. Emily talked about it. It's going to be a concern throughout the evening hours as snow continues to fly. Now, we do have winter storm warnings remaining in effect for the Albuquerque metro area, stretching up here through the Durango area and across the northern mountains. So because of that and the cold temperatures and the snow that's continuing to fly, obviously, road's going to be a huge concern. Here's a look at the snow band over central portions of New Mexico, and it is impressive right now. We got a few inches overnight, and we've gotten the promise of a few more here into this evening, because as this band sits here, there's a chance of another 1 to 4 inches of snow continuing to collect in the metro. Now, what you're starting to notice, though, is a little bit of dry air creeping in from the west. So what we're going to do is continue to monitor this snow band, but we are at the bullseye time for Albuquerque. Back to the southwest, there's still a nice little flow of moisture there, and up across the northern mountains, as you can tell, we have some snow continuing up there, and boy, Sangre de Cristo Mountains, San Juan Mountains, Jemez Mountains, all looking at the possibility of more than a foot of snow to continue into the weekend. So coming up, you guys will have your full forecast from here at Purgatory and exactly what to expect in the metro and beyond throughout a very stormy and wintry weekend.
All right, thank you, Mark. To the west of Albuquerque, the snow has been falling throughout the day. I-40 is getting enough snow that tonight it's going to get slick. And when you get off the interstate, it gets dicey. News 13's Cole Miller followed the storm as it moved along I-40. He's live in Grants.
Well, Jessica, all is quiet here right now, but the snow has been off and on, coming and going throughout much of the evening and afternoon. It's sometimes very heavy. Now, that has given some drivers who live out here a bit of trouble.
Well, we've had about 3 to 4 inches out that direction, a lot of ice, so it gets pretty slick.
Just north of us up in Milan, the snow has oftentimes been steady and strong. Heavy wet flakes have been flying, it seems like in half-hour intervals or so, starting and then stopping. Once you get out on the roads, bridges are now getting icy, as well as on and off ramps, and visibility at times has been poor, about a mile or two. We did see one plow out cleaning off the ramps as it made its way into the Milan area. And out further west, it wasn't too bad. We were at one point about 30 miles outside of Gallup, but not a whole lot was happening out there. That was at around 3 o'clock. And tonight, you're going to want to bundle up out here. It's already below freezing. This roadside firewood stand has been keeping busy all day. Here, they were loading up a truck for a man who lives out on the Laguna Pueblo.
This is my only heat source that I have here in Laguna, and it's very important that we keep our wood stocked, especially with the storm coming in.
Again, the snow has tapered off for the most part right now, but the wind is brutal. You pair that with the freezing temps, you add the winds, and it's going to be a very cold and icy night out in this part of the state. Jessica?
All right, Cole, thank you. And it was a snow day for all of the APS students, as you can see from Sky News 13. Those kids were taking advantage of it. We caught kids out sledding and tubing near Montano and Unser just minutes after APS canceled classes. Now, here's the bad news for the kids. They will have to make up this snow day. That's because the only snow day built into the school calendar has already passed. So the makeup day has been tentatively set for after Memorial Day. Now, you may remember there's been controversy in the past because most kids don't show up for the makeup anyway.
This morning, drivers were slipping and sliding in the Ventana Ranch neighborhood. Universe was like an ice rink. If you were in a sports car, it was tough getting up small hills. There were also minor crashes on Paseo del Norte as drivers slid into the barrier. And while the story was ice in the city, it was more about snow in the East Mountains. Take a look at this. Several inches fell there this morning. The roads were snow-packed and icy, but DOT crews were out early plowing and dropping salt and cinder, making for a pretty smooth commute.
Now, I-25 was a complete mess this morning as drivers were trying to make their way into Albuquerque. This is what it looked like this morning on the interstate just north of Los Lunas. The roads were a thick sheet of ice for miles, causing minor accidents all along the way. At times, traffic was at a complete standstill. Even some semi-truck drivers gave up, pulling over on the side of the road until the conditions improved. Some drivers say it took about an hour and a half to get to Albuquerque.